Welcome to the Gaia Report. I am the co-host, Crystal Johnson, and you'll meet the other co-host, my son Aspen Johnson, shortly. The Gaia Report will be a monthly TV series here on Big that I'm really happy to share with you. It will have 3 components. It will be comprised of environmental news, locally, nationally, globally. We'll also provide green living tips. And the last component will be regarding inspirational special guests. And our guests will range from young voices to professionals to political leaders, community activists, religious institutions, all individuals doing inspiring work toward sustainable solutions. So again, welcome to the Gaia Report, and please join us monthly. I'm so pleased to have our amazing special guest for our premiere show to be Brookline's Michael Berger. So welcome to the Gaia Report, Michael.
Thank you.
Michael Berger is a Brookline resident, and he leads on so many inspirational, personal and professional projects that pertain to the environment, science, chemistry, and sustainable solutions pertaining around climate adaptation. And I'm really happy to have you here, and I welcome having a great discussion regarding what you do and some of your ideas regarding climate adaptation. So
Great.
Please, how would you like to start?
Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I want to say how wonderful it was to work with you with this science adaptation fair.
Yes.
As part of Climate Week.
Thank you.
That was really inspirational. We had a great turnout.
Yes.
A lot of enthusiasm.
Yes.
So I'm glad to be here.
Nice. Thank you. So it's my understanding that you are currently an associate professor at Simmons.
Right.
And you teach some really critical classes as far as the next wave of leaders regarding being aware of environmental issues and how to think about them maybe in whole systems.
Right.
And you focus in on analytical chemistry, sustainability, and others. So please share what you contribute to the next generation of thought leaders.
Mainly it's enthusiasm.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So some of the judges for the science fair
Yes.
were students of mine.
Yes.
And so that's great. I think the most inspirational thing for me to do is to get students involved, engaged, and excited. And it's pretty simple to do in this area in Brookline because there's a lot going on.
Yes, there is.
We have Climate Action Brookline. We have a really concerted effort at being sustainable as a community.
Please tell what your role is and what is Climate Action Brookline? Some people may not be aware.
Climate Action Brookline is a committee
Okay.
that it's an organization of citizens that really provides to the town expertise, interest, and programs that involve citizens. For example, Climate Action Brookline spearheaded Solarized Brookline.
Oh.
And that was an effort with the town to help citizens install solar panels on their homes.
I was familiar with Solarize, but I didn't know what the driving force was. That's wonderful.
That's right.
Nice.
So, but I've been involved in Brookline for a number of years. I started in the late 1980s by founding the Brookline Green Space Alliance with a couple of other folks. And
what was the focus of that committee?
Well, it was an organization. It's a nonprofit we founded. And originally it was to try and make the town aware that to use the parks as parking lots for big sports events was a bad idea. And that particular focus galvanized a lot of people to join together to advocate in town meeting for their particular parks. Unlike the schools, or we as stewards of small pocket parks don't have a large voice.
Right.
But there's a lot of scattered interest around the town. So the Brookline Green Space Alliance was founded as a way to provide an umbrella for a lot of people interested in advocating for parks and open space.
Now, who are some of the founders with you?
Mary Dorrit was key.
Yes.
And that she was inspirational, and Mary's now involved in climate in the town, in terms of on the board of CAB,
Yes.
Climate Action Brookline, and the founder of Climate Week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a pleasure to keep working with her.
Yes. For the town who should be aware, there is the Climate Action Brookline, and they do many pertinent work here for the town, but during the late winter, early spring, there is a week called Climate Action Week, and it has an array of different types of activities, including the this year, the premier annual Brookline Youth Climate Adaptation Challenge, which was a science fair that Michael was discussing earlier. And I just want to thank Mary Dewart for her leadership for so long, and she had inspired me when we met a few years ago regarding some of the work I wanted to do. And when I was interested in having a science fair, I knew who first to connect with. And she's someone that has been involved in some great work here, right, and planted a lot of seeds.
See, there's a connection between open space,
yes,
and for being aware of climate. I mean, it's a natural connection, and so Mary bridges that, and
that's true.
And a lot of people who are on CAB,
right,
have an interest in conservation as well as open space, and so that works together very well.
Would you like to expand on how you see that connection? Because some people, you're right, they don't recognize that in an area where it's semi-urban, where the value of that open space, and it is parallel to a lot of the other environmental issues.
Right. I guess it's on one hand, it's really a concern for others. It's
Yes.
a concern for something beyond your own personal group.
Yes.
It's altruistic in that way, and so there's a commonality there. The other connection is community.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, climate is big.
Yes.
The open space is big, and so the only way to really affect change is to work as a community.
That is very
together.
true.
So
that is very true.
Whether it's the Brookline Green Space Alliance or whether it's CAB or any of the other groups, working together has really been enjoyable. I became a town meeting member in the late 80s as well, and that's another important aspect of being effective advocates for climate, and that is being involved in community action, in community political action.
Right.
And so town meeting is a great opportunity to educate other people who are involved, as well as the general citizenry, about what's important in the town.
Nice. Now, given your history with the town and understanding, how things have evolved from the Green Space Community Organization, also with Climate Action Brookline, and now we have the Youth Challenge. What have you seen as far as some of the great changes, or even some of the things that may not have advanced as far as you had wanted? How do you see some of the changes occurring?
I think we're heading in the right direction.
Oh, that's great.
So, for example, in town meeting, a few years ago, Clint Richmond and Jane Gilman,
Okay.
who are now co-chairs of the Green Caucus,
Okay.
really organized a group of town meeting members to again, provide an umbrella, a way to explore and advocate for issues that involve not only climate, but open space as well. And so, I mean, that's an important priority in the town. I think, I'm not sure it was always a priority in the town. When I first got involved in politics, I went back and went through all of the town reports back into before Proposition 2.5.
Okay.
And found that the town actually spent on parks probably about 5% of its annual operating budget on parks. It's not that today.
What is it?
Well, it's about 1%, but we've become more efficient.
Yes.
We've worked with the town staff
Okay.
and departments to become more efficient,
Okay.
to find ways to involve citizens, more citizens, in upkeep of parks, and so there's a lot of friends groups now, where there weren't before. So that's a big change too. So in general, I'm very optimistic.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
We have to
optimistic.
be.
We do.
Now, you've shared what you've done personally, as an active citizen here in Brookline. And as I introduced earlier, you do have a profession where you, teach.
Right.
Can you talk about some of the classes you have or some of the projects that you're involved in? You did mention one earlier regarding the analytical chemistry and
Right.
filters, but I'd love to hear you share about some of the work that you do with your students.
Right. So I teach analytical chemistry,
Okay.
general chemistry, and my goal is to get them out of the classroom, into the lab,
Okay.
out into the muddy river, as much as possible, and sample it, analyze it, ask questions about it. And so the muddy river for me, I teach at Simmons College. The muddy river is our front yard.
Yes.
And so it's very, very easy to go. And it has been changing, it has been improving.
Good.
There's a major restoration project, as you know,
Yes.
right now. And so we're kind of documenting it. So I have a
that's
student
beautiful.
who's doing a study, has the health of the muddy river improved compared to 10 years ago?
Yes.
So 10 years ago, I had students, and we went and sampled the sediment and the water all the way from Jamaica Pond,
Okay.
all the way up to the Charles River.
Oh, wow.
And we've been doing that now for a period of 10 years. And so
Oh,
we
that's
have
great
we have the
data.
data. Has the health improved? So the answer is yes and no. It depends where.
Yes.
So the restoration project now is really a big step. It's a major investment, but there's a lot of the muddy river that still needs improvement. And so there's a crossover between the technical, when you're doing the education,
Yes.
analytical chemistry, and again, political involvement. So the project and the restoration of the muddy river is such a large project. It's federal, Army Corps of Engineers, City of Boston, Brookline, State of Massachusetts, that there is an oversight committee that meets weekly,
Okay.
and it's an opportunity for the citizens to find out what's happening. So over the years, I've brought my students to that meeting so they can see how the decision process works,
Oh, that's
how
great.
changes get done. And a lot of it is political, votes
Yes.
for money or not. And so there's the connection between kind of what is the concentration of something in
Yes.
the water, and can we make it better?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's
Understanding the science is great, but also understanding the systems
things get
planning.
done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I also teach a course on climate change,
Oh,
and we went with Brookline down to the march in Washington, in New York rather,
Okay.
a couple of years
Yes.
ago, and we were there with our closest 400,000 friend, and so some of the students had not been to New York before,
oh my gosh.
so they got an eyeful.
I can imagine.
So I asked the students when we came back, what was it about? How did you feel? What did we do? It wasn't in the newspapers that much. So they thought, and they said, well, I was there. So it's a stake in the ground, a
Yes.
personal commitment. So
Yes.
that's important to say.
It is key.
Yeah. I also teach sustainability,
Okay.
and I have a travel study abroad course
Oh,
every May,
okay.
and we travel for 3 weeks to Iceland, climbing volcanoes, on glaciers, meeting members of parliament, poets, farmers. We live together, and we find out, in the case of Iceland,
Okay.
what their problem is. I mean, not many people know about Iceland. But when the Vikings came there, it was covered with trees.
Okay.
So they said, this is a great
Yes.
place. It's cold, but there are a lot of trees.
Right.
So they cut them down. Didn't realize it took thousands of years to grow those
bet.
trees. So there was a lot of erosion. And Iceland has a really difficult problem. And we get to talk and share their struggles with sustainability.
Oh, that's fascinating. Now, we've had the pleasure of working together recently, as I had introduced to the audience, on the Climate Action Brookline Climate Week for the Town of Brookline Youth Climate Adaptation Challenge. And that was a significant event because it was a premier one, and it was townwide. We had kindergartners through high school, and I believe all the schools were represented. and there were 53 youth, and there were 27 projects because some youth partnered, and there was a large turnout of diversity because like 45% students of color, including large percent participation from the MECO students, and I was glad for that. And we got some comments. I just want to read some where some of the parents wrote in and said, "Congratulations on the fantastic event. I'm still floating high from the open minds and the hearts I was able to connect with. Thank you for organizing this event, learning about the students' enthusiasm and faith in their ability to solve major problems. Well done." And that this was the best Saturday that they've ever had. And it was such a high energy event, and I look forward to working with you moving forward. What are some of your observations that stood out that you would like to note from your experience with that?
Well, first, you're amazing. Because you did a lot of work. You did a lot of work to organize that and get that off the ground.
It was so much fun.
And it was fun.
It was really fun.
Yeah, so thank you for putting that effort in. And I look forward to making that part of Climate Week every year.
Yes.
I mean, it was really a highlight.
Yes.
Not only did the students, at all different ages, they were really enthusiastic.
They were.
There was a lot of networking. So I had my students from Simmons come, and they love to be a judge and judging it. But they met other people who were judges and parents because they're looking for jobs and internships. And, and so
that's huge.
It's big.
Oh, that's great.
And some parents, for example, wanted to know how can I find out about making contact and getting resources for a particular project? And it turned out...
Oh, that's wonderful. I wasn't aware.
Yeah, it turned out that somebody else was there who could provide those resources in the town as a teacher in the high school.
Oh, that's great.
And so
that's
we
so great.
So that's another...
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's wonderful. I really look forward to expanding, and I anticipate that either next year or the following year, we'll have to move it from Pierce, maybe the high school, because we'll have such a large forum and interest in watching how it evolves. Nice. Yeah. I want to thank you, Michael, so much for being here, but for all the work that you do, again, professionally with empowering students that come through you regarding environmental chemistry, sustainability, climate adaptation, and pushing them out to be critical thinkers and change makers, as well as the work that you do here in Brookline that has shaped so many of the things that when I'm from Brookline, but I returned, that I didn't know that you were involved in regarding open space, what was happening with climate and solarized Brookline, so much you were involved in. And I look forward to continuing to work with you. But on behalf of Mother Nature and the town of Brookline, thank you so much for all the work that you do.
Thank you very much.
Our next guest is our youth guest. We have many youth in Brookline who are not only aware of critical and pertinent issues happening around the globe environmentally, but many of them have phenomenal ideas and solutions. As I was talking with the earlier guest, there was a Town of Brookline Climate Adaptation Challenge that was designed for youth. And we'll be having guest speakers who were those youth presenting their ideas. They were asked to think big about any environmental issue that they value, whether it was air quality, water, the sea level rising, to biodiversity, to energy. And the youth presented an array of incredible solutions. And our special guest today is Aspen Johnson, who is also the co-host of the Gaia Report, and he will be sharing with us 2 science reports that are related regarding his sustainable solutions. So welcome, Aspen, as our special guest. What is the first of your projects about?
Well, the first of my projects is, name right up here, is State of the Seas. And here's a picture of a healthy ocean. And then with all diverse fish like crabs, lobsters, clams, fish, stingray. No.
I see there are also turtles and fish, just a great diversity.
Yeah, just a great diversity. And here's the acidic ocean. There's just jellyfish, other fish, because jellyfish survive in the acidic ocean. oceans.
Nice.
So now I'm going to talk about the science project.
Okay.
So this is my purpose and value. Okay, an acidic ocean hurts sea creatures. They cannot have babies. Their shells do not form, and the water gets hotter. We need to reduce the acidic level in the ocean. That's urgent.
I can imagine, yes.
And after that, we have my question.
And what is your question?
My question is, can the minerals my mom and I take to alkalize our bodies help alkalize the ocean?
Nice. So then how was your test procedure? What type of materials did you need for that? How many?
Well, I'm just about to get to the test.
Okay.
There's 6 different things you need.
Okay.
And the first one is sea salt.
Okay.
Sea salt, water, minerals, pH test strips,
Okay.
a scooper, and a spoon.
Nice.
And here's my procedure right next to the test.
Okay.
Next, there's 5 different things you need to do.
Okay.
First one is mix salt and water to make ocean water.
That makes sense.
Yes. And then the second one is measure the pH with test strip 1.
Nice. Oh, I
3.
see right here.
Yes, right there, test strip number 1.
And it showed that it came out acidic?
Yes, it shows
Okay.
that it came out acidic.
I can see that.
The
Okay.
green colors are alkalizing.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. 3. Add minerals to ocean water. 4. Measure the pH test strip 2. Test strip 2.
So then you tested the same water after you added the minerals to see if there was an improvement?
Yes.
Now I see. And what happened?
Compare the HP test strips.
Oh,
And
okay.
as you see, they're right here. Results.
Nice. So what was the conclusion?
My conclusion was, yes, the minerals my mom and I take to alkalize our bodies did help alkalize the ocean water, salt water.
Nice. And what's in the future regarding this?
My future direction is to test real ocean water.
That makes sense.
Adding minerals to ocean areas may reduce the acidic level in the oceans.
I think this is a really promising solution to what's happening with the acidic ocean. And I think it is a viable option.
And do you remember in the beginning of my science project when I said the jellyfish that thrive in
Yes.
acidic oceans? Well, I have another science project.
Okay. So this was your first science project, and that led you to understand acidic oceans and the role of jellyfish in thriving.
Yes.
And then now you advance past that initial thought to this. Please tell me about this project.
Okay, so this project is about biomimicry and jellyfish. Biomimicry jellyfish. Here's my values, the first thing on this.
Well, first, what is biomimicry?
Well, bio means life.
Yes.
And then mimicry means like to copy something.
So we're learning from Mother Nature's best
Yes.
plants.
Yes,
We don't have to
which is
reinvent the wheel.
jellyfish.
She already made some great concepts. How could we maximize them for human use?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, my value is jellyfish thrive in acidic oceans while other ocean life die. Here's my question, which is the main part of my science project.
Okay.
Can a jellyfish gene be utilized to mimic its resiliency and a regeneration process to help protect other ocean life in humans?
Amazing. So what is so great about jellyfish and the resiliency and the regeneration?
Well, right now, I'm just about to get to jellyfish resiliency and regeneration.
Okay.
Right here. So, there's 7 different things that they do, and
Okay.
lots more.
Okay. You're going to highlight 7?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to highlight some.
Okay.
First one is, jellyfish regenerate lost body parts in 2 days.
Wow, that's quick.
Yeah, super phenomenal. And 2, jellyfish reproduce in many ways, including self-refertilization.
Wow, that's odd and significant.
Yeah. Okay. And 3, survived the last 5 mass extinctions, which you can see right down here from 65 to 434 millions of years ago.
Because there were 5 mass extinctions in which 90% of all species were gone, but they survived all of them.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yes, and people just think they're just some blob.
That they don't have a brain, they don't have a nervous system, that they are not as advanced. I think we really underestimated many things about nature, but definitely
Yes, and also because they are attacking smarter fish, bigger fish, bigger fish. They like swarm up on it.
Yes, they do.
And they think they're just blobs.
They do. What are the other information that you can share?
Okay, so my fourth one is jellyfish are over 450 million years old, highly evolved.
That gives them a lot of time to adapt and evolve.
Yes, it does. 5. Jellyfish survive low oxygen by storing oxygen in their tissue and breathe through skin.
So when there's acidic ocean and there is a lack of oxygen and most of the other fish and life creatures are dying, since they're 95% water, they can absorb oxygen and retain it and then utilize it when they need it?
Yes.
That is amazing. That is phenomenal. That is really significant in how they're thriving through all of this. No wonder they're the ones excelling in the acidic environment. And what else we got?
Okay, so
Immortal?
6. Six. Jellyfish tolerate any salinity level. This is 7.
So they can be in fresh water to salt water. They can handle a variety. It's not. That's adaptability.
Yeah. Immortal jellyfish. One stress reverts to first stage of life, polyp stage, transforms all cells, advanced skill. And
so then now, respect to time, walk through what your concept was, that if one gene, the GFP, can be identified, then another gene, the resiliency and regeneration gene, can be done also?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's right down here. So if one gene, GFP, green fluorescent protein, can be identified, then another gene can also be. And here's a picture of jellyfish DNA, but it's actually in in our bodies. It's actually like turned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spiral. Yes.
Yeah. And here's a picture of human DNA.
Nice. And so you were able, from the GFP, the isolate GFP, say that if they can identify one gene, they can identify that resiliency regeneration.
Yes.
So what's your conclusion?
My conclusion is jellyfish thrive in acidic oceans. Given that GFP, green fluorescent protein, has successfully been used in gene biomimicry, it is promising that other jellyfish genes, especially for resiliency and regeneration, can be identified and used for biomimicry. This resiliency and regeneration jellyfish gene could be used to help other ocean creatures survive in acidic oceans. And here's my future direction.
Okay.
You're now singing machine. Future direction. Advanced jellyfish genetic knowledge for a solution to save diverse ocean species and humans.
Thank you so much for your sustainable solution in understanding acidic oceans and the value of jellyfish. I enjoyed this, and you provided so much knowledge. The Gaia Report Green Living Tip has to do with, it is springtime, there are beautiful flowers blooming, and we need to be aware of our pollinators. We need to have great gratitude for bees, as well as the dragonflies, the butterflies, the moths, and bats. They're mini pollinators, but bees are significant. Did you know that pretty much 1 out of 3 bites that every American takes has been pollinated by a bee somehow in that food system? And that is valued at $15 to $18 billion. So bees are significant to our economy and our food system and our health. However, there has been a troubling decline in their populations over decades, but particularly in the last decade, recognized as a bee colony collapse. There have been many different discussions regarding such as, is it mites, a natural occurring bacteria, or other? There was a study that was completed last year by Harvard where it identified neonicotinoids, pesticides. And I must commend Harvard for this study, because while in Europe they have identified neonicotinoids, pesticides, as a key concern with bee colony collapse and the source, It's been a rather slow acknowledgement here in the United States, mostly because of the tie of businesses and politics in the agro-industrial world, where you have the Monsantos and such. And one thing I wanted to say for our green living tip is, how can we help pollinators? Because we need them. So a few tips that we can have this spring into summer is to plant a variety of flowers that bloom at different times throughout the seasons. Plant them in clusters so that you have these gorgeous blooming groupings rather than isolated plants spread across areas. You can also reduce your use of insecticides, pesticides, and herbicides, and keep the dandelion and the little clover areas that you have. Thank you.
Okay.